My name is Corinne, and we're here at Dee's today after another successful bead club to show you how to make the hook and eye wrapped bead bracelet. For this project, you will need round nose pliers, needle nose pliers, wire cutters, 18 gauge wire, and 22 or 24 gauge wire. You will also need 6 size 10 millimeter beads. To begin this project, you will need to measure your wrist, double that number, and then add 3 to 4 inches depending on how loose or tight you like your bracelet to be. You will use that number to cut your 18 gauge wire. Fold that 18 gauge wire in half to create a loop at one end. Then take your 22 or 24 gauge wire. 24 gauge wire is going to be easier to bend, but the 22 gauge wire is going to be a little sturdier. We're going to wrap the end of a 1.5 yard piece around that loop at the end to hold it secure. And then with the long piece, we're going to wrap these two pieces together nice and tight, but you want your wraps to be kind of far apart from each other. We're not trying to make each wrap as close to the last wrap as possible like we normally would. And this is kind of an artsy bracelet, so we're not trying to be incredibly precise. And we're going to wrap almost all the way to the end. Then when we get to the end, using your round nose pliers to create this clasp here, we're going to roll each of these ends into a loop. Before you do that, you may want to make sure that both of those ends are exactly the same length. So we'll just clip off this other side here. And then roll this in. One on one side. You want to try and make the smallest loop possible. So my other side got a little bit big there, so I'm going to unroll that and then re-roll it so it's a little bit smaller. So we want just about 1/2 inch of wire that's not wrapped at the end here. So there we have created the base of our bracelet. We've got what's going to be our hook on this side and our eye on this side. To create the hook, we are simply going to use our round nose pliers to roll that in at that 1/2 inch point. Then we will gently curve our bracelet in to create more of an oval shape. Recheck your clasp, make sure it's aligned, and then once that's aligned, we're going to go ahead and wrap all the way up to those 2 loops that we made so that they don't split apart while you're wearing the bracelet. Then we're going to wrap back down, and I'm going to continue to wrap back up loosely like we've done before. You're actually pulling your wire tight, but you're making your wraps loose so that they've got some distance between them. Okay. Once we've come back up a ways, we want to go ahead and slide all of our beads onto the other end of the wire. And we're going to slide all 6 beads on there. And you can use 8 millimeter or 10 millimeter. Depends on the look you're going for. This one here that's already completed is using the 8mm, so you can usually get up to 7 beads on there. On this one I'm just using 6. This one has 6 as well. And that way we can see where our beads need to lie on the bracelet. You want them to be kind of centered on the top of that bracelet. Once you've got them in the position that you want them, make sure you're holding them right up against that wire form that you've made. And we're going to wrap this nice and tight around the bracelet, like so. Now these are going to move around unless we secure them. So the next thing we're going to do is wrap in between each bead, pulling tight. I'm just going in between the bead and around the bracelet form that we've made. And then wrap a couple times on the other side. Then back up. And then we're going to wrap in between each bead again. We're going to do this a total of 4 times. So this is my second time around. Wrap down around again a couple times. Doing kind of a messy wrap on either side of the bracelet every time I come around. Go in between the beads again. And then I'm getting ready to do my last pass. This will be my 4th one around. I'm pulling kind of tight. And then I'm going to finish off my ends. You'll notice on this side I kind of wrapped into before my last pass I wrapped until I got it the way that I liked the look of this end here, so it kind of tapers off. Then on this other side I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to wrap in several different places until I get that look that I want, where it kind of tapers from the end of the beads to onto the bracelet. So when I'm done, I like to, you can actually bring this all the way back down to the end and then clip your tail off if you want to kind of get the same look that you've got on this side. I usually just pull my wire through the bead there a couple of times. And then I clip off my tail so that it's right inside the bracelet and you don't see it. The last thing to do is to finish off your first tail. Wrap it around the bracelet several times. Then take your needle nose pliers and push that tail down into the wrap until you can't feel it anymore, so that it's nice and secure. So there we have our hook and eye wrapped bead bracelet. The last thing you'll want to do is check and make sure that your hook actually fits into the eye. This one's a little bit small, so I'm going to place my needle nose pliers into the hook and spread it, or into the eye, and spread it open. And then that way it hooks straight in. Thank you for joining us here at Dee's today. Don't forget to check out all of our other great videos on YouTube.